The people around you will not understand your transformation if they can't accept your afflictions. We can start off in Proverbs 14 verse 10, and it says, "The heart knows its own bitterness, and no stranger shares its joy." Now we could take what we know about our heart and how it knows our own bitterness in Proverbs 14 verse 10, and we could go to Job's 19 verse 13 through 19, and it says, this is after Job was struck down with everything that was happening, after the Lord decided to brag on Job about his faithfulness to him, right? Job says, "He has put my brothers far from me, and those who knew me are wholly estranged from me. My relatives have failed me. My close friends have forgotten me. The guests in my house and my maidservants count me as a stranger. I have become a foreigner in their eyes. I call to my servant, but he gives me no answer. I must plead with him with my mouth for mercy. My breath is strange to my wife, and I am a stench to the children of my own mother. Even young children despise me. When I rise, they talk against me. All my intimate friends abhor me, and those whom I loved have turned against me." Now, was Job a wicked man? By no means was he a wicked man. God bragged on him for his faithfulness. And in that same way, there's a lot of us that go through certain seasons where it's an extremely dry season. And to the outside world, it looks like you may have committed a sin or done something that the Lord is mad at. Because if the Lord is so all-knowing and he loves you and he has this compassion, why would he allow you to go through this level of suffering? Why would he allow you to get all your possessions taken away from you? Why would he allow you to lose that relationship that you've been bragging or speaking heavily about? Why would he allow you to go through these moments where you can't find a job, you have no money in your pocket, and you feel like you're losing yourself? Why would he allow you to be put in this outcast position when you have been following him the way that he wants you to, when you have been consistently nurturing your relationship with him? Why would he allow something like this to happen? I can imagine how Job felt in that moment, where he knows that he's been abiding in the Lord and he's been resting in the Lord and he's been doing everything the proper way, being a person that centers God in their lives. By the Lord's standard, he was a righteous man. And in that moment where the Lord was utilizing Job to make an example and to show the devil just how deep their relationship is, the people around him, Job's wife, Job's friends, were nitpicking every aspect of Job's life, saying there must be some hidden sin that you don't see. Even his wife himself, the love of your life. Imagine the love of your life telling you, how can you still be praising your God's name? How can you still cherish your God? If I were you, I'd curse your God for everything that's going on. This is a person that you made a marital covenant with. Can you imagine how that must have affected Job? The people around you will not understand your transformation if they can't accept your afflictions. Job understood at the very least that the afflictions he was going through was not due to a misstep in his part. They couldn't understand that. To them, Job must have done something wrong, because there's no way that he would be going through these transgressions. There's no way that the Lord would allow these things to happen in his life if he didn't do something wrong. But in reality, that's just not who our God is. A lot of times, God has so much mercy for us when we are in the midst of doing something wrong that you never see people that are doing wrong get their recompense immediately. A lot of times we see the wicked people live on years on end and get the money, they get the women, they get whatever they deem as good and fit in that moment in time. And we're like, why is this happening when I'm following you in the way I'm supposed to, yet all I'm seeing is closed doors? Sometimes the Lord is cleansing us. Other times it is a test to see where our heart truly lies. There's something that I remember Holly was telling me a while back when we were speaking about a death in a friend circle. And there was one thing that the Lord said to her was, will you still bless my name? Will you still praise my name in the midst of your circumstances? When it looks like nothing is going right, will you still bless my name? Will you still bless my name when everything looks like the opposite of what I promised you? Will you still bless my name when it looks like everybody's walking away from you, where you have no friends, where you have no family members, where you don't have a job, where you don't have any money, where you have to rely on me for your next meal because you're not doing anything on your own? Will you still bless my name when I call you to social media and you look ridiculous pumping out content 24/7 and nobody acknowledges the work that you're putting in, will you still bless my name? Sometimes it's a test. We can move on to Ephesians 4 verse 22 through 24, and it reads, "To put off your old self, which belongs to your former manner of life and is corrupt through deceitful desires, and to be renewed in the spirit of your minds, and to put on the new self, created after the likeness of God in true righteousness and holiness." After you go through your afflictions and the Lord desires to lift you up, after Job went through what he went through and the Lord made his point to the devil, when Job regained everything back multiplied, some people far off couldn't believe that this was the transformation that happened. Some people far off couldn't fathom that after going through such a rough season in particular, Job was back up just like that. In his groaning, Job learned to put off his old self. Whether he had his old riches or not, in the midst of his brokenness, he still praised God. To put off your old self, which belongs to your former manner of life and is corrupt through deceitful desires, and to be renewed in the spirit of your mind. When we are going through transformation in the Lord and we have these old desires, you quickly realize that a lot of your old personality was rooted in your wickedness. So you feel like you lost your personality. You'll find yourself grieving the old version of you as if it was you, but in reality, it was a false identity. And a lot of people, they are accustomed to that false identity. They're used to you being that fake version of yourself. They're used to you wanting to drink all the time. They're used to you wanting to smoke every day. They're used to you cussing up a storm 24/7. They're used to you living that lustful lifestyle. And a lot of the people around you at the time, they feed on that. It's either they feed on it or that's what they're feeding you. That's the only way of life that they know, and that's why you guys clicked to begin with. So once you finally walk away from that lifestyle, once you finally start building again, it says, "And to be renewed in the spirit of your minds, and to put on the new self, created after the likeness of God in the true righteousness and holiness." Once you start rebuilding your life, to them, that doesn't look like truth. It looks like you're trying to be something that you're not, because they didn't believe in your past afflictions, because to them, the afflictions were a way of life. So how could they ever believe in the transformation that you now present? How could they ever believe that this new transformation is truly who you are in Christ? I'm saying this so you don't become disheartened when people turn their backs on you, when people question your motives, when people question what you are doing, who you are becoming. Because they couldn't understand the pain you were going through when you were in the world. They couldn't understand the pain you were going through when you were enslaved and shackled to your flesh. So you can't allow them to dictate who you are. You can't allow them to place their ideals on you anymore, because you've changed. The person you used to be is no longer that. In the same way that Job's friends couldn't understand Job, they couldn't understand Job's transformation because they couldn't accept his afflictions. In the same way, Job's wife was speaking death on his relationship with the Lord. In the same way, your friends will speak death on your relationship with the Lord. Family members may speak lowly of you or may push you away because of things they don't understand, because of internal struggles that they can't possibly come to comprehend. You have to stand firm in your faith. You have to believe in the words of the Lord, and you have to understand that whatever the Lord has taken away, He'll either replace it with something better, or it's something that you never needed to begin with. And you have to renew your mind, like the words of Paul, to understand why you never needed it. Because in the Bible, it tells you that my people die for lack of knowledge. Sometimes it's the understanding of why these sins are not necessary. It's the understanding of why you shouldn't degrade yourself. It's the understanding of why you shouldn't go back to smoking. Those are the things that we lack that make it hard for us to break these strongholds. A lot of times once we understand, we learn to turn away. The people around you will not understand your transformation if they can't accept your afflictions. And I hope you understand that. God bless.